All right, welcome back to It's Basically Monday podcast. We're back, and it's basically Monday every day. So, yeah, it's been a like what did we missed like a week or something in there. I've been super busy recently, but I'm back again, getting it started for the fall season. I'm here with the boys, with my buddy old pals,
Yikes.
John and Judah. Yeah. With my old geezers.
Yep, we're here.
So, yeah, how's it? Anything new? Anything
Um,
change
yeah,
in your guys' life?
yeah, actually. Mila's basically potty trained now, so that's good.
Dang.
We only use diapers for her like overnight, like just in case, because she's obviously still learning to hold it for long periods of time over like when she's asleep. But yeah, otherwise she
Wow.
does not ever use the bathroom on herself, and she knows to just ask to go to the potty, and then we just go.
Holy crap.
So
Can
Oh
she do it
yeah.
like on her own without asking? Like what
no,
would
that
happen?
no. I think. I mean, I think she could probably figure it out, but I think she'd probably make a mess. Like she
Okay,
knows what she's
yeah, that's
supposed to do, but when she's doing it herself, she rushes.
okay. Yeah, that's you don't want them. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You don't want
All
to.
right.
You don't want piss
Well,
everywhere.
I would rather lead lead her to the bathroom than change a diaper. So I feel like that's a huge step. Like, and I'm looking forward to that myself because I am still in the diaper stage with Raina. So
Yeah. I mean, I
yeah, I'm
didn't.
just
I didn't. I mean, I was excited for her because obviously she learned something, but I wasn't like crazy. Like I wasn't. I wasn't like fretting the diaper stage. I just kind of
oh,
expected it.
it's yeah, it's my bane.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and we are going to the cities this weekend to just hang out, take Milo to like the aquarium, the museum. We're gonna hit a bunch of different places to eat. Yeah, just chill as a family for the weekend.
yeah, that'll be nice. I can't wait till Raina can talk and stuff. That'll be interesting. Yeah, does she like ask you questions yet?
Um, yeah, sometimes.
Interesting.
Not like
Sometimes. So
not
it doesn't
like
sound
anything.
like it happens like too much.
No,
Like
I
where you
think she asks questions in the way that like people who know the answers already ask like questions, and like because we she mimics the questions we ask her. So like a lot of times we'll say, "What color is this?" or "What color is that?" and she'll say the colors, and then sometimes she'll cut in before I ask and say, "What color is this?" and like look at me and then say the color because she knows that's just the order of how you do things. I don't. She hasn't asked me anything because she's like genuinely curious yet.
okay, so she hasn't been like, what's the meaning of life or anything like that?
No.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no, yeah, no
That
one's
makes
doing
sense.
that at that age.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes yeah, Raina's obviously she's not has not said her first word yet. She's yeah, definitely learning new noises like on a regular basis and like she'll start like using that noise for the next couple of days consistently until she gets bored of it. But yeah, no words yet. So yeah, that's another thing I'm looking forward to. Like when I can finally like talk to my kid, or at least like she can talk to me. Like even just like the slightest bit of confirmation. So it's like, okay, you said a word. Like so at least we can connect there and I know like you said something and that's what you're thinking. But right now I'm just like guessing. Like I'm like, all right, like I'm pretty sure this is what you're thinking or this is just what I think you would be thinking. But yeah, that'll be
What's
fun. But at
the
the same time, like I don't want to rush it because people always say like you have to enjoy this time because it's the only time they're ever like this. So it's just like, yeah, it's balance.
yeah, what's the common trope? Is it from age what like 4 to 12 is when they'll talk to you? Like when are your kids supposed to stop talking to you? 13?
Yeah, probably like starting at 10 or 11 or something like that.
Really? That seems kind of early.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the kid. And probably girls do it faster because they mature quicker, and they're probably like into boys within like 2 seconds, which is yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I mean, like, dude, you don't need to like care about these boys. Like, I didn't start having crushes on girls until I was like 12, like 11. Like, you're fine, but like for a girl, that's like you're like ain't you've been thinking about boys pretty much like at least for lots of girls. I feel like yeah, a lot of girls are always already talking about that stuff like a lot earlier than all the boys in our grade basically. And I think that's just like normal. But yeah, that's gonna be an interesting thing because I'm just gonna be like, I can't relate to that. Like, I can't relate to like that part of me activating like so early on. But that's how it is. And I feel like I matured like a lot later, just like in general. Like I feel like I'm a late bloomer. So like, it's like you guys aren't talking about Star Wars anymore. Like, what do you mean? So yeah, I was definitely like, yeah, innocent and ignorant until like yeah, like at least like 11. Well, then again, that's not completely true because like I did have access to the internet in the 90s. So I wasn't like I was ignorant because I just didn't know what questions to ask, but I wasn't like I knew that there was some crazy shit out there, like for sure. Yeah, like I think I was 11 when I saw Saddam Hussein like get hung or something like that on like on E-Bomb's World. Like just like live. It wasn't live, but like it was just like yeah, a video of it just like right there like and like I feel like everyone in the school saw that video like that was just like a normal thing.
I don't think that was supposed to be like a like dangerous video. Wasn't that like our victory celebration? Didn't they put that like on?
Is that what that was? I guess. Would they ever do something like that now? I feel like you would
Yeah,
have to go
they
out of
definitely
your
would.
way. You think so? I feel like now you'd have to go out of your way to come across something like that. But back then, I'm pretty sure like wasn't eBaum's World just like a video game site or something like that? And sometimes they had videos. Am I thinking of that correctly? Or was it always just videos?
It was basically Reddit before Reddit.
Is that what it was? Yeah, well, there was no moderation, that's for sure, because like you would just be scrolling, like looking at like the whatever like the top stuff is, and then suddenly like oh, there's someone getting lynched right there, unblurred, just right in your face, like, and that was just normal, like that was a common occurrence back in the 90s. So yeah, our kids definitely won't have that. Like you have to kind of like I feel like you have to go out of your way at least a little bit more than you did back in the 90s to like find stuff like that.
Mm, to find violence.
Well, then again, like don't they say like Facebook like turns people into extremists like within like 4 clicks or something like that? Like within 4 clicks you're already like learning how to like make a pipe bomb or something.
Did they really say that? That's crazy.
It's
I
like
like I
some
believe it,
study.
but
I mean, it wasn't 4 clicks. It was like a very short amount of time. Like within 4 friends, like within the first 4 friends you add, like you're gonna somehow get like politically like targeted information sent to you. And then like 4 more friends after that, and like it's gonna be like, here's an application to join ISIS or something like that. So I mean, maybe they fix that though, like because obviously that's a problem.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, hopefully it's not still 4 clicks. And I mean, Reina doesn't have a phone, right?
Not yet, but like I'm sure it's normal to get a phone after like probably like 8 years old at this point, maybe even
Hmm.
younger. Because I see like pretty young kids with phones now. Like pretty much all young kids have phones from what I see. from a few exceptions, I guess. But like, yeah, a lot of them have phones. So I guess like I feel like as long as like she's not like doing anything crazy like out in the open, then like I would let her have a phone because like no sense on like I guess like stopping her from doing something that literally every single other person in the school is doing. Because like at the end of the day, she's gonna like figure a way out, like figure out a way around it. So I might as well just give it to her and just teach her how to use it correctly. But yeah, I gotta like teach her how to like like what do you do when you come across like an ISIS application? I mean, obviously you don't fill it out and like join, but like I don't know. I guess I shouldn't
Is
worry
that
about it. No one told us anything. They're just like, here's the internet, and like I just did it, and I never joined ISIS or like tried to overthrow the government.
is there an ISIS application, or are you just saying that?
I'm just like saying that. Well, like that's how like most people joined ISIS through like social media. Like they would,
Like a Facebook group, right?
yeah, like they would find a Facebook
Okay.
group, and then that Facebook group would be like, you know what, everyone, I think everyone here should just go to the Middle East. Like, let's just go to Syria and join ISIS, and like people would just do it, like from
Yeah,
like the
dude,
Facebook group.
that's like 2 clicks. That's
Yeah,
not even four.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I just have to trust that she'll be smart enough to not to not yeah join a terrorist organization or to do something that would like yeah get her or like the rest of us in trouble.
That's
Yeah,
going to
but
be
it's
the kind of thing that gets her to stop talking to you. She'll be like, "My dad's crazy. Like he thinks that I'm going to join a terrorist group just because I'm on the internet."
that's if I tell her like early enough and if I don't mention it too much afterwards, maybe she won't like think I'm crazy. But if I like tell her before she even uses the internet, then she'll like just be wary of it. But then maybe like once she sees that it's not a problem, she'll just forget about it, which is fine because it won't be a problem then. But if it is a problem, she'll be like, you know what? I remember this one time. My dad was like, never join a terrorist group on Facebook. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. I don't know. It seems stupid that I would have to spell this out, but like I'm learning as like a dad that like you can never really underestimate what your kids don't know per se because like unless you've told them or like they've been taught somehow like they would have no way of knowing these things so like yeah so it's just like okay like it's like can can they be trusted with such enormous responsibility.
I don't know. What do you think, John? I'm not a dad.
Yeah, I think they can get there for sure.
what a what a riveting response. You're just like
I mean,
yeah
I do.
pretty much. But like okay like when like at what age.
I guess it depends on the severe. Like you're saying, you're saying when can they be trusted with what exactly? Like to what severity?
Just like a cell phone or just like which is just like
Just a cell phone.
access to the internet
Just
like
access
it,
to the internet.
yeah like can
I
you put like
yeah. If we
parental locks on a cell phone like
yeah, you
for the
mean
browser also
yeah, you can.
is that possible even
Yeah, yeah, that's possible.
like the only way I would know how to do that is to literally have the router itself have parental like controls on it. So like it would block any traffic coming into the house from like a list of like known bad websites or something like that. But
Yeah.
like I don't okay, so there is a way to just like put like settings on their phone and make it so it's like but like do you think there's a way around that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like really once you give them access to the internet, really you are giving them like if they really wanted a way around it, yeah, they could just like go to that proxy website. I'm sure those still exist and like there's nothing you can ever do to stop them. So like yeah, those go to this proxy website, go to wherever they want. So yeah, what age would you be willing
I
to give her access to that?
probably like 17. But even
17?
yeah, but even then, like that, like full access, unless you're paying for it, I'm not gonna just gonna hand you a cell phone. Like that's just not happening. But like in terms
Well,
of
you know she's gonna find a way to pay for it. Like she'll be like, okay, like she'll
y-
like get some money doing some sort of
yeah,
hustle, and she'll be like, okay, here's the money
yeah, that
at like
that's fine.
at
But
like 10 years old.
no, you're just not gonna be old enough at 10 to have
Okay, well,
unfettered access to the internet. No.
at what point can she have access, even if she pays for it?
I said like I think 16 or 17. And honestly, that's just me guessing though. Like in a lot of ways it depends on her. Like it, I can't put an age necessarily on like how mature she'll be at at a certain level. Like that's just hard to do. So a lot of it's going to depend on how she is. Like I think based on myself, that's what I would think is a good age, but she might understand things quicker, that I might have not understood like as a kid. So it really depends on her.
Yeah, when did you get when did you get unguided access to the internet?
I don't think we ever had a guided like thing on our computer.
So yeah, at what point could you just go to like any website you wanted in the world?
Whenever we got a computer, I don't remember how long ago that was. But I wasn't like looking like the internet wasn't that interesting to me when I was a kid, so it wasn't like I was looking for like crazy things on the internet. That really didn't
You're
even
like
happen.
you're like the internet? Nah, that's nothing good there.
Mm.
Like,
As
don't
yeah,
even need to look into that.
as a kid, I'm not like looking into articles about like, wow, the web, like this is gonna be great. This is gonna be the future of the world. I'm not thinking about that at 9. I'm hanging out outside with friends. Like, yeah, I was outside at
That's
that age.
hilarious. Yeah, my dad gave me the internet, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I am gonna look up everything. Like, and that's exactly what I did. Like, I looked like anything that I thought about, I looked it up on the internet, and like the 90s were fucking crazy. Like, and yeah, like pretty much like at 6 years old, like they had like parental controls at that time though. But again, like I said, there was ways around it. So if I really wanted to know something, I said to do it like when my parents weren't looking, and then just like
Oh,
do the little
okay.
thing that I found out a way
Yeah,
around it.
I didn't feel like I was not allowed to know certain things. So I guess I could see from that standpoint if you felt like the internet was your escape to the world with the like things you maybe that your parents wouldn't tell you. Like that's how it sounds when you describe it that way. Is
I
that
feel like
is that accurate?
I feel like my parents weren't like too bad with it. Like honestly, like I could have asked them about the subject,
Yeah.
I'm sure, but like I just didn't want to like have that conversation. One, because my mom talks a lot, and that's honestly probably the most of the only reason that I didn't like come to them and ask about any of these subjects first, because like there was never any quick answer with my mom. So like I would just rather not. So like if I could just like look it up on the internet, that'd be great. And if I had to like ask my mom first, that's gonna like be more than even it's worth. So like I might as well just like figure out a way behind the parental controls and just do it before like I don't even have to like ask them. Like I'll get it done before I even like end that conversation with my mom. And then on top of that, like I don't even know if my mom like knows what she's talking about. Like because then I'll go look it up on the internet and it might be a different answer or something. So it's like, no, I go around it. But eventually, I feel like I only had the parental controls for like 1 or 2 years, and by like nine, like 8 or 9, I was just like, can I just like not have parental controls? And my parents was like, sure. And they just turned it off. Like that's just literally how that conversation went. Like,
So
so they,
at age 7 or 6 or whatever the age was, you trusted the internet even then more than you trusted your parents.
mm, yeah, maybe not like, mostly just my mom. 'Cause
Okay.
like I feel like I would trust my dad's word over anything. But like, yeah, I guess like, no, I've seen my mom say too many things, I suppose, for me to have complete trust in her word about like everything. Like I would trust
Wait,
her in like things that I knew she had experience in, but a lot of like my interests were like things that she would never know about. But she would always
R-
like pretend like she
right.
knew the
I
answer.
I wasn't
But
necessarily
like,
making a judgment on like how much you trusted your mom. I was just surprised at how much you trusted the internet. That was really why I said that. Like, what at 6 made you trust the answers you were getting online?
I mean, where else am I gonna go if I'm not gonna ask my parents?
The library or something. I don't
The
know.
library? I mean, like,
Yeah.
I could just look it up online. So like, it's
But
just
but
more
oh,
convenient to
but
look it up
so
online.
we
Oh,
no
but you're
I'm
saying it's not as trustworthy.
No, I'm saying at 6, how would you know the trustworthiness of the internet? Like, I understand how we think about the internet today in terms of Google and like Wikipedia, like those kind of things. I understand for like quick answers why we would think today that makes the most sense, is the most direct route. When we were 6, that was not how the internet looked. Like, so like in the trust that
Google existed.
yeah, Google existed, but it was just a search engine to provide like you direct access to other web pages, and those web pages were written by people you had no idea were even credible. Like we didn't have full organizations with backings behind them on the internet at that stage, like not in mass. So like I was just wondering, like in 1997, that's right before the internet became the like height of the most popular bullshit, and like everyone made all those websites that all failed. Like that's right before that. You're saying at that stage you were like, yeah, the internet, correct. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
Like what? Like
I feel like if
that's either incredible, like that's
I
either
feel
just
like if you
incredible.
find multiple sources on the internet that say the same thing, like yeah, I would take that as correct. Basically the same as today. If I look something up on the internet and I found multiple sources that said the same thing, I would still to this day basically take that as like near fact.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know. I would not today. Maybe as a teenager I would think that I would think that, but I just feel like I've seen too much today to think that corroborating web pages mean anything. Like
Like
even it
what web pages have you like do you have any like examples of like
Yeah, so like uh, I guess I don't know what you consider like a credible source. So that's probably a better question. But like to the average person, I would think that the organization Forbes is considered credible. To not maybe not to you, but just to the average person. You can
okay.
pay to be on like Forbes lists. Like their selection process has nothing to do with any credibility. There have been people who sell like YouTube crypto courses or like trading courses who have gotten themselves articles through their website because they paid enough. Like it's not credible at all. So it's just like that's an organization where I think the majority of people would say, "Oh, if I see it there, like there has to be some level of truth to it." And like that's an example of where I just say like if large organizations with a lot of money can tell lies, I just don't understand like how I can trust the other mundane things that come from there.
I suppose. Yeah, I feel like, but then if you see it on Forbes and then you see it on like three other websites,
No,
I mean,
I would
if those websites say, okay, we got our information from Forbes, then I'd be like, okay, this is the same source.
I
But
would not think that. I would
if those websites reference something else, then I'd be like, okay, this is just true. Like,
I think my number is like maybe my number is larger. So yeah, I can understand how like at a certain point you would think that it's true. I just think 3 is like you said 2 or 3. So that was what I was like, oh, 2 or 3 is that's low. Like there's definitely been times where 2 or 3 news organizations that have credibility have reported the wrong thing at the same time, like
yeah, that's
several
true.
times.
But it never gets like, well, I guess there's like some like huge stories where like
The
the entire world
yeah
was duped or whatever.
the
But aside from those, I feel like those stories usually don't get to like the top of anything. Like they might get reported on, but then immediately people are be like, "That didn't happen." Like the
right
explosions
right
of the Pentagon or whatever. Like I forget. Like yeah, major organizations were reporting that
yeah
the Pentagon was like on fire, but like it turned out to be like an AI generated picture.
right
And I
yeah.
never did see that. But I guess like if I happen to be, I guess scrolling on like I don't know, like CNN. Actually, CNN is not very credible. Like what do
No,
I
they really
like?
aren't.
Let's say like ABC. Like I was like on like their website or like going scrolling on their YouTube channel, and like I saw that like and I just so happened to see that they posted a video like 2 minutes ago saying that the Pentagon was on fire, then I would like, I guess, like believe it. But then like if no one ever like came back and like corrected it, then I would just like continue believing it, I guess. But like usually with the internet, like people start immediately like scrutinizing things and it just gets
Mm,
shut down. And then I end up seeing that like
right. That's
rather
why
quickly.
I think that's true of the internet now. I was just surprised that you said you had that level of like belief at 6, because that was definitely not happening in the 90s.
I feel like also back then, if you were smart enough to have your own website, like that gave you like not like complete credibility, but just like a tiny amount. Like, okay, this guy must be at least like kind of smart because it wasn't easy to like start a website back then, like by any
Sure.
means. Like you had to know what you were doing and you had to like be in like that like field for like a while
Yeah,
or
but doesn't
have
that
enough money to pay someone who was.
right? So I was gonna say, doesn't that say a lot though about the fact that our economy, like our stock market, crashed over that? Like there was enough people that got enough money just because they raised enough capital, not even because they actually had the money themselves. They just used the knowledge that everyone had that the internet was going to be big, and like siphoned money into their own pockets for businesses they didn't know how to run. They just got enough of it to get someone to make them a website, and they're like, "Yeah, we're legit, and we have a website, and that's it." And then like hundreds of companies were based on that premise alone.
Like, yeah, we have a website. Like, holy
Yeah,
shit, you have a website? Like, you
yeah,
must be a genius.
yeah.
Like,
And
give
everyone
them
was, yeah, it
everything.
was like, "Take my money." Like that's basically what people did in the 90s.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, so it wasn't like not normal for me to think that way. I was just thinking like how most people thought in the
You
90s.
were
Like,
like
if
the
you have a
internet,
website,
this their
like,
interwebs. That's it. I wonder if there's anything about the internet you learned at that time, like from 6 to 9, that you believe like for sure was true that like came from one of those scam sites.
mm, no, I feel like the sites were like, they were really bad at hiding that they were scam sites.
Really?
Because like the professional sites like wouldn't, for one, the professional sites wouldn't have any ads. Like I feel like that's how you know a site is a
Mm.
scam site. If they don't, if they can't afford to pay their own server bill, like, and they have to show you ads, and it's all these like fucking crazy ads. Like most of them were porn. Like 90% of them were porn, and then like
What?
the
That's
other
crazy.
90% were like, I don't know, probably like a game or like something gruesome or
Okay.
like something wild. But like yeah, so like I would know if I went on a website and there was like a fuck ton of ads and stuff like popping over. I'm like, okay, this is like this is not where I need to be. Like I probably already downloaded a virus, honestly, just by clicking on this website because that's how easy it was back then. So I just feel like, fuck, like now I have to like delete all the files on my computer. Like you literally had to like you had to know like just to even surf the web back then, you kind of had to be a little bit smart. Like yeah. So I guess yeah, it makes sense how like literally like all the old rich people who literally definitely weren't surfing the web, but then they heard about this new website thing that like was going crazy. And then like if you could like not only surf the web, but like you can build your own website. So like these rich people had other people who were surfing the web and be like, yeah, the web is amazing. You need to like spend all your money into this. So then the rich like old person is like, okay, like let's find like someone who built a website because they must be like on the edge of technology. So they give them all the money and like that's it. Like they didn't the old person who had the money didn't know any better at any point. He was just like, I don't know, they told me there was a website thing going on. I I believed them because they're my smart people. And
Yeah,
and
that's
then
that's that's
and
fucked.
then it turned out to not be as good as everyone said it was. So like,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
fucked.
at the end of the day, they just didn't know any better. And like you were lucky, you were an above average person if you were even surfing the web at that point, I would say. Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of our parents weren't even on the internet at that point. Like, I feel like you were kind of like, yeah, on the slight minority if you did have a computer with internet in the 90s. It definitely got to be common in the 2000s, but in the 90s, it was definitely hit or miss.
Is there anything right now that you would be like, holy shit, that business is legit in the same way that a website was in the early 2000s.
I was just thinking about that, and like AI, like ChatGPT and like large language models just came out. And like that's literally what companies are doing right now. Like Google, like all the major companies, they just immediately are like working on like their own AIs and stuff. So like I think that's it. Like if you have the ability to train your own language model and have it be actually good, then like people will invest everything. They'll be like, yeah, give them everything. They're the leaders in AI right now. Even though like what can a large language model really do? I mean, honestly, it does have some impressive uses, but like just like the internet, it does have impressive uses and but it still got overinflated in 1999 and 2000. And then we realized, okay, it doesn't need that much money in the industry. It's not that impressive. It is impressive, but it's a little too much. So yeah, I think that's the same thing like right now today. But like I don't think that just because you have an AI that makes you like a good company. But I do think if you have your own model, I would say you're at least you at least have a software engineer with like a lot of experience working for you. So like that's something. You're not like just like some hobo off the street who like like downloaded an app and was just like, okay, I'm legit. Because like that's all you need now to make a website. You just like download an app and be like, all right, I have a website. But like training your own language model, like that's having your own chatbot that's like literally trained by you, like for real trained, like from the core, not like using APIs and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Is there anything that gives the company instant legitimate status as soon as you see it?
Uh,
Yeah.
for not for me, no.
Dang, not for you. So how does
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry.
not immediately.
uh do you have anything, Kuda?
Yeah, I couldn't think of one. The first one I thought of was if their business hours are correct on every holiday.
Mm, that's a good one actually. If I see there's a holiday and like someone updated it on Google already, I was like, holy, like they're on top of their shit. For sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say that's a good sign. That's a really good sign actually. Like that's good management. Like that means you're not drowning in your work or like things aren't such a shit show or you're not like too lazy to do it. Like something good, something's going right in that company.
Yeah. I know, yeah, it seems stupid, but every time I see that when it's like holiday hours and I like click on the time, it's like, yeah, today it's from 9 to 2:30. I'm like, "Oh, that's like someone that's for real." Like
Yeah.
you're actually thinking about it.
Like someone
So,
just wrote that in. Like, wow. Yeah, that is a good sign. That's a good point.
yeah, I can't think of anything that isn't like brick and mortar though. Like what would I have to see on a for an online business?
Yeah.
Even if it was brick and mortar, I guess like obviously you could say like if they have like a skyscraper in downtown somewhere, you could would that give you legitimacy status for either of you two?
No.
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 Absolutely not.
So what would?
No, I said
Even
not.
if it
I
was
said
brick and
nothing.
mortar.
I said nothing. Not for me, anyway.
Nothing?
No, not for me.
So there's no company. So how do you ever find like how do you ever
It
decide on a purchase?
it takes like time. Like it doesn't mean that like I don't ever deal with the business because I don't measure whether I deal with the business based on its like ultimate legitimacy. Like that's a whole different question. So like I'll buy things from places that I've never been to before without knowing if they're like quote unquote legit. But I there's nothing that would make me look there and say for sure like on first glance, yeah, I know for sure it is. Like I won't know that. There's no way. I have to deal with them in some way to know that.
Dang. So basically every time you make a purchase like that, for you it's like a pure risk because you don't have like you have like some confidence because that's why you bought it, but like
Hmm.
you basically you don't like if they came to you and it was complete garbage, it sounds like it would not surprise you at all.
If it was a
You'd be
business
like,
I had never, if it was a business that I had never dealt with before in any capacity,
right.
no, that wouldn't surprise me in the least. I'd just stop dealing with them immediately.
You'd be like, yeah, I suspected as much.
I wouldn't suspect it, but I don't have high, like I do have, like you said, I have some expectation if I'm buying the thing, but it's more about how I envision using the thing versus the expectation that I have of the company to make it good. Like I've already convinced myself it's good if I'm buying it online because I'm convinced of the concept on my own. You didn't convince me of that by like providing the portal that I can buy it through. All you have to do is deliver on the product. So I can't know that, especially online. There's just no way. So yeah, the only thing I have to judge it on is going to be how I interact with you over time. And the longer I interact with you well, then yeah, the more legitimacy you tend to get. And it's kind of like one of those like trust things. Like it's easier to destroy than it is to earn. Like I can have several good interactions with the business, but if like it's shit and they don't fix it, it's like I'm pretty much done. Like that's it.
So like what if
That actually happened. I don't use Binoid anymore because they fucked it.
what? Oh, because they started changing the recipe and then it was
Well,
like different
no. So they had to stop offering like a certain like product that they had, and I had already
because it
ordered
was killing people.
No, no. It got like blacklisted by the federal government. They were like, no, like this, you can't use this anymore.
it was too real. They were like,
Yeah,
nah, that's
basically.
basically just the real thing.
Right, yeah. So
Okay.
so they had to stop offering it, and but the problem was I ordered it 2 days before that went into effect. So it never made it out of their warehouse. They never sent it to me, but I paid the full like 60 or whatever dollars it was to get it here, which is just my normal order. And they had given me a discount because the normal price is 100. They had given me this discount of like for like being a consistent customer. So basically I'm out $100, and they were like, okay, yeah, we understand that this happened. Pick something else. That was 3 months ago. I picked something else. I followed up with them a month ago or a month and a half ago, and they're like, yeah, we're still working on it. I haven't heard from them since. So
Dang.
yeah, I tried. I gave them. And again, like I've had a year and a half's long journey of greatness with them, but they fucked that up way too bad, and I'm just like, that's it. You're done with me.
That's hilarious. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Like they can't
That
even
like
deliver their one job is to deliver their product. They can't do it.
yeah,
Like
Yep,
so
that one
exactly.
product line was like their whole business. They're like, oh
No, it
no, we
actually
only
really
have
was.
like we have gummy worms and that's it, like real
Well,
gummy worms.
yeah,
So
yeah. No,
like
seriously, like you're
unmedicated gummy
you're
worms.
actually like absolutely right about that. It was definitely like a majority of their sales because it had the most reviews out of like all the products, so I know it was ordered the most. So yeah, they lost a
hmm.
lot of people. Like, and that's what makes it more frustrating because I was actually willing to stay with them and try the other stuff because I just had a good experience with them so far, and they couldn't even do the simple job of like following up.
So did you find anyone to replace them?
Danielle's actually looking. I've just been ordering, or I've just been like going to the place that's like near me to get stuff.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some times where I guess, lost my faith in a company for
Yeah.
sure.
So do you go? You
But
go
okay,
into wait. So you go into companies to go back to that. You go into companies and expect greatness for them, like from them that you have never dealt with before.
for the most part, yeah, yeah.
Wow, wow, that's something.
Like I'm surprised when I'm served garbage. Like
How
I
how is it possible you could be surprised when 90% of businesses fail? You think all those?
90% of businesses fail.
I'm pretty sure
Well,
they
like
say in the first year that
I guess
90% of
like
businesses in the first year fail. Yeah.
and 100% of people die. So like yeah, I guess with enough time, like anything would like
But a year though. I'm pretty sure it's like a year. How
oh,
many?
it's in within a year.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Let
well,
me look.
I guess that makes sense.
How?
Like I've literally opened up a business on like yeah, like registered it with Wisconsin and just never did a thing. Does that count toward the statistic of a business
No,
opening and failing?
no. I would say open would be like you started to actually have sales and then you like close down.
But is that what
Like you
they're using
reported
the metric
revenue.
as?
I should look.
Yeah, I mean
Oh
that
no,
would
so
make
it's
the most
not. So
sense.
it's not. Yeah, so it's not that. I was drastically overestimating that actually. It's only like 20 in the first year.
Oh, okay.
But like so 30 in the second year, 50% in the fifth year. So okay, by there aren't
Wow.
enough businesses. Only half of the businesses in the world that make it 5 years, they still exist. Like that's terrible.
Interesting.
That's just like that's a
That
coin
is pretty
flip.
bad. I didn't actually really realize like that was like that bad.
Yeah,
So
it
only
wasn't as bad
half
as I
of
said, but
businesses that
still.
start
Yeah, so only
are
half of
around
business.
in another 5 years.
Right. So from the first year to the fifth, only 50% of businesses 50% of businesses fail by the fifth year.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess like I just assume
So half of
that
them are
like
bad by the fifth year. That's crazy. And surely that means it's been longer than that they've been bad, because really 50% means that's when people recognized you were bad. You have to be bad before that to actually like it has to catch up to the consumer, right? You have to be bad.
right,
You have to be sending bad shit out. So you've been bad really by like the third and a half or fourth year.
right.
That's
Possibly the whole time, possibly.
possibly the whole time.
Depending on how big
Probably
the
the whole
customer
time,
base
because
is.
like the first 2 years, like you're shit. I'm sorry, like you don't open a business, you're just like perfect off the bat. So like only 1 year. That 1 year you did okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that probably was just mostly the hype year. Like you opened up, people were like, "Wow, what is this? This is interesting in concept," and you just didn't execute.
Yeah, probably. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess I never knew that statistic, but yeah, I guess I give everyone like the benefit of the doubt before like the first time I meet them, which like can be dangerous and like lead to like great disappointment for me. But like when it doesn't lead to great disappointment, I feel like the payoff is greater than any like disappointment I would have gotten because I'm just like, yeah, I expected like them to deliver and then they did. I'm just like, that's I feel like that's pretty good. Like at no point did I ever have like a bad attitude or like I felt bad about anything because I was like I felt really good before I went into it and then I felt really good after I came out of it. So it's just like the whole time I felt really good. But like there is definitely times where I've been like, what the fuck is this? Like, are you kidding me? Like cousins actually. Like I used to go to cousins all the time, but like now there's only like two good cousins in the whole county and like I've tried like all of them and like it used to be good and then like
No.
it
I
just it just isn't anymore so like I just stopped going so like yeah I got disappointed and I feel like my heart was broken like I still think about them like sometimes and it's like damn I miss cousins but it's you can't go back.
yeah, I don't expect that there will be bad. I just don't expect anything. So I'm not walking into it like with a negative mindset about the business. I just am just unfazed. I'm not gonna make an expectation. I'm just gonna wait to see what you provide, and then maybe after that, like I'll base an expectation for the future. But I don't want to go in having not known you at all and then put something on you. Like I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you can do. I'd rather you just show me what you can do, and then I'll go off of that.
Oh and then I think there's also a motivation for me to be like an early adopter or like an early supporter basically. Like even if it's like a small business and like I know the owner and I like end up like getting good with them or whatever, I'm like, hey, like you're one of my first customer. Like once you get first customer status to a successful business, that's like VIP status. Like you get extra perks, like you can pay your bill late and like if something goes wrong, you just like call up the owner and be like, hey, like something's going wrong. Like and it's like, oh, I'll take care of that. Like you've been there since the beginning. Like if you get like first customer status, that's probably like the same as like I don't know. It's not the same as like Twitch streams, I suppose. But like if you like follow someone like really early on, you've been there since the beginning, it's like a whole nother like level of perks, like in like so many different ways. Like so like that's another motivation for me. Like if I expect like if I like give my support to these people
They'll let
and
you
they
they'll
see that
they'll let you pay your bill late.
yeah, they'll pay your bill
You're
late. Maybe if you need something, like they'll like do you a favor. Maybe they'll like make it so like you don't have to pay a bill one time. Like anytime you complain, it'll actually like matter because like you're important. But if you're just like someone who's like, yeah, I just found you. Like, I'm completely like, I don't. You might be complete shit. Like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know you. Like, just give me your stuff and like, let's see it, and I'll judge from there. They're not gonna be like, wow, this guy really stuck his neck out and like, like even though you did take a chance by buying their product, they're not gonna feel like you're like,
Why
oh,
do
this
you
guy supported me from the
why
beginning.
do you
So
need the
like,
business owner to like personally care about you to the tune of giving you favors that come in the form of like decreased revenue for them? That's a that is a crazy that's a
it
crazy
might not be
expectation.
decreased revenue, but like
If
it
they're
would be
letting you
like,
pay
hey,
their if they're letting you pay your bill late, that's definitely decreased. It's at least unrealized revenue, so that's just as bad.
like those are, but like it could be anything. I guess it depends on the service that you're doing, but maybe you want better quality service. Like, hey, like this isn't really like what I was expecting. Like, come on, man, you could do better than that. Like we're best friends. And he's like, you know what, I can. You're right. And then he just gives it to you. He's like, that was easy. Like, so
So
like
you
that way he
so
didn't
you
lose
want to
any
be able
money,
to
but like
get
he
in
still
good
got something.
so you want to be able to get in good with a business owner so that you can parlay favors from them in the form of like having input in their business.
Yeah, like just favors, really. Like really, like all you. The
Okay.
only thing, like you had me at favors, like.
Favors, okay. Favors. This is
Yeah, and
about
like,
this is about favors.
and they don't give any favors to people who didn't believe to begin with. Like you gotta
Okay.
believe in order to get the benefits. Otherwise, you're just like any other person. So like that's not like my sole motivation. My sole motivation is, yeah, just like, you know what, just like keep the spirits high, like until they give you a reason not to. But then my secondary motivation, which is like maybe like sometimes 10% to 30% of like what I'm considering when I'm like doing that would be the early adopter status. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I really
but
like the early adopter
yeah.
status.
But when most people talk about early adopter, they usually are talking about the product, not the business. So it's interesting that your position on early adoption is, like you said, to get favors from the business owner, not to get a good product. Like
Yeah.
that's my motivation behind buying any product is just to get a good product. So yeah, I can understand building a relationship with the company that provides you that product after consistency, but yeah, it's that's an interesting that's interesting. I wonder what you think, like as a business owner, would you feel good about your customers parlaying favors from you in that way?
Yeah. Like actually, yeah, all of my first like customers, yeah, because they took a huge chance with us. Like we had no website. Like we had a website, but like no reviews. No one's ever used us. But they were just like, you know what? I'll take a chance with these guys. They
No,
literally
no, no,
did
no,
that
no, no,
exact
no,
thing,
no.
and I was just like, you
I
know
don't
what?
doubt.
After that, I'm never raising their prices. I'm gonna like whenever they call, I'll be there instantly because they literally got me through those first couple of years.
No,
So I
I
feel like yeah, that's
understand that
worth something.
it was positive for you. I'm saying, does it doesn't make you uncomfortable at all that their motivation behind believing in you had nothing to do with you. It had to really do with them getting favors if you were successful. Like they could do that with everyone. They could if you have enough money, basically, you could just pick your like and that's basically what venture capitalism is. Like
Yeah,
you
exactly.
just pick enough people and like if you pick the right ones, like they're good, and if not, then you just lost some money. Like so basically, you want your customers to look at you to be your customers like backing. Like you want them to be your venture your venture fund.
Yeah, like I feel like that's a good opportunity. Like they're like in a way like investing in my company, even though like I had no way for people to invest in my company, but like buying it early kind of is because it's like what keeps the company going for the future. Just like if I were to like open up my company for like an IPO or like to go on the stock market, then all I'm doing is literally just like selling my ownership so I can get more money so that way I can put it back into the company. I mean, if I'm a good like boss, I mean, like I could just put it all in my pocket, I guess, but like normally you should put it back into the company so then it grows. And that's also why an investor would even give you money anyways. If they knew you were just going to pocket it all and not grow the company, they would never invest it. And like
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming
I
it's
just
the
didn't
same for
realize.
the people
I
who
just
are
didn't.
early adopters.
Yeah, I just didn't realize that that's how you thought about it when you bought like product. I thought so. It's I can understand doing, I can understand doing that with like things that you have researched. That's the only difference that I feel like. The only difference that I feel like what we're talking about versus what venture capitalists do is that they get a full rundown of what the business actual plan is and like who they are and what their numbers are, and you're just like, I expect this greatness from you for no reason other than you better do well so I can get some favors.
I feel like if I were giving like millions or hundreds of thousands to a company, I would definitely do my research and like look all up in like everything. But I feel like for the most part, I don't have time for all that. Like whatever I'm buying from you, like I could just go to work, make that money right back. Like I'm just gonna give you this money and trust that it's all gonna like end up good. Because like I'll probably do like light research. So that doesn't mean like no research. Because I always do like at least a little bit. Like I have to know something. But like I try and keep my research time down and like in an attempt to like get those early adoption benefits. And like obviously like the early adopter benefits, like you get way more benefits and leverage if you like do it with like a small business. But like if I were just to like buy like if I were to like yeah, like buy like the alpha version of like Starfield before it came out or whatever. Like that's an early adopter, and like you do get benefits. The benefits in that case would be like when I'm online and people are like, "What do you know about the game?" Like I can be like, "I've been here since like literally day one," and like people like will just shut up after that. Like they don't say shit. So like that's the benefit you get in like a bigger company. The benefits are smaller, but you still get them. But like so like I guess in those ways I don't care about the early adoption nearly as much, but it still kind of matters. Like is there any game that I would buy before it came out pre-ordered? Is there any game company that I like so much where I was like I heard they're coming out with a game, I'll pre-order it.
I mean,
Maybe
I've pre-ordered
if it
COD, but not because like I think the game is spectacular. It's
you
more
believed in the company.
no, not at all. I don't believe in Activision at all.
You're like, no, I was then
I
why did you
not
pre-order it?
not as a not as a I believe in their ability to produce that product, but I don't believe that that
Okay,
product is
yeah.
like superior to other products or that their business model is like great. So no, I only buy the game because like $60 isn't even that much honestly in the times of inflation anyway, and like the people that I know that I like to hang out with online and play with like to play it. So it's just easy because we all understand the mechanism and how the game works already. We don't have to like go learn something. It's literally just easier than having to move to something else.
Yeah, that's true. But like that's also part of their product. Like that's
Sure.
they're like literally leaning on that exact fact. They're like,
Yeah,
okay, we
no,
have a lot of
absolutely.
people, everyone plays this. Like that's part of like
But I don't
so like
I would
in that
disagree.
way
I would
you
disagree
would
that
think
makes
it's
them
a
good.
good
No, I don't think that that makes them good. I think
well
that
like I
that makes
guess
them
not in everything, but you're buying a game to do the goals that you just stated,
yeah.
and then they really are the best solution to the goals that you were like that you
No,
wanted.
no, I disagree. I don't think they're the best solution. I'm just lazy.
Okay, so in that way, you like in that particular situation, it's kind of like me. Like you didn't want to like go in and play and test out every single shooter game out there to really find the best one. You're just like, no, it's $60. Let me just buy this, have some fun with my friends, and I'll just give these
Yeah,
guys the benefit of the doubt just because
no, no, because the difference
it's
is you're
fun.
expecting them to be great. That's what you said. You're expecting them to be really good. I am not expecting anything close to that. I'm expecting a bad experience that I'm going to be frustrated with.
What?
But that's also just
And
part
you
of
pre-ordered for that?
yeah, because it's also that in my mind is worth being able to hang out with my friends and complain about it together because it's just something that we do now. It has nothing to do with like loving
And that's part
COD.
of the product.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying,
So
but
you
I
had
don't.
to buy it in order to achieve that goal. So like
Yeah, but you're defining
you
that
did
as good.
believe that it was going to help you achieve that. So like in that way you
Yeah.
thought the game was good, so like you did
No.
believe in it.
You keep saying that in achieving one goal makes the whole thing good, and I'm saying I don't believe that.
I feel like if you bought it, that means you think it's good.
I don't believe that at all.
I mean, unless you go back after no, It's no,
There's
not
plenty
if
of
you
things.
bought it. If you pre-order it, you think it's gonna be good as far as what the goals that you set out and want to achieve, which in your case is play with your friends
Well,
and hang out.
well, not
So like you
well,
bought
not
it because
really.
you knew it could achieve those goals the easiest. Because you could have
No,
bought like Battlefield and been like, "Hey guys, like
no.
try and
Well,
come play this," but you didn't.
the majority of the people that I know don't play Battlefield though. So it's like
Exactly. So that
it's
wouldn't
not
be a good solution. It doesn't matter how good of a
but
game Battlefield is, it's not going to solve that problem. And like
right.
that's part of their product.
It solves
It's
one
because they know a lot
problem.
of things.
Yes.
So like I would
Yeah.
say if you're buying something based off of that, then like that product is a net like you at least envision that product would be a net positive. So I would just chalk that up. If the only choices are good and bad, even
Why?
if it's like
How are the only
51%
how
good,
are the only choices good and bad? That's actually
just
crazy.
for simplification purposes, like we could make it like a scale of 10 or a scale of 5 or whatever. But I just felt like that was going to get too complicated. So if you just like are thinking of things like, is it good or is it
Yeah,
bad?
I disagree that it's 51% good.
But you would pre-order it anyways.
Well, you keep like placing emphasis on the pre-order thing. Like it doesn't. There's nothing changes like from pre-ordering to not pre-ordering. I literally just buy it when it's available. So it's not like I'm pre-ordering because I'm getting some type of anything special with the pre-order. It's the same price if you pre-ordered versus not. It doesn't really matter.
But the point of the pre-order, like part of the question, was because you don't know the product and no one does. So in that way,
But
you
in that
have to
sense,
take the gamble.
everything then is a pre-order. You pay for anything that you buy
No, because you
before
can
you
like literally look up a YouTube video of exactly
that
everything about it. Like
that
that's part of the research you were saying. Like you would look
N-
up something
no, because
and then
the way COD the way COD plays, in order to again speak to the things that I would think are like good in a shooter, I would have to play it. Seeing someone else play it would not be able to speak to that enough. Like I could watch a bunch of videos, but still like my there's in a good example of this is World War II, the COD game that I used to play all the time when I streamed. Like people's perception of that game was that it was terrible. My perception of that game was that it was great. So I have very little faith in how the general public associates with like how the game is. I very rarely read reviews when I look at games that I want to buy because I don't really care what other people think about the game. I need to put my hands on it, and that's going to be based on if I think again, like I said, either the concept has to be good enough or if I'm already like invested in previous concepts and like our friends already play it, then it's just like again, it's easier, and that's just me being
that
fucking
makes
lazy.
that makes more sense. So like really from your point of view, like you're not taking any risks because no amount of research could ever like help you determine like whether the game is good or
Right.
bad before you buy it because
Yeah,
you don't trust it
absolutely.
anyways. So like
No, no, yeah.
you're like I'm gonna buy it regardless because that's the only way I can like come to a conclusion anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like
and you know,
pre-ordering makes no difference as
no,
far
it
as your
doesn't.
faith in the
No.
game. Okay,
And
that actually does make sense.
and in
So
that way too, like
yeah, you don't really like
I'm always like confused when people, well, not like I've seen people that I know do this and like they are really heavy on reviews. Like to a certain extent I understand why that would be comforting, but there's also been lots of times where like I've done looked at reviews for apps for example, they've been great and the use case for me was absolutely garbage. And there's been other times where I've been like, "Oh, this is terrible. This product is garbage." And then most of the people in the comments were just using them wrong. Like the things
yeah,
that they
that's
expected of
true.
the product had nothing to do with what it was actually supposed to do. So it's like in those senses, it's really hard for me to trust the general public on most things.
Yeah, and then now like even on top of all that, like a lot of reviews are fake, so it's just like, all
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, to speak to your AI thing, like how many do you even know are real?
Yeah, it's just like
That's
you almost can't even use that. I
yeah.
mean, if there's a video review, that kind of makes it a little bit better, but
Well, to your point, yeah, you can like see what the product will look like, so you could have some expectations for sure. But yeah, the game one's just hard for me because you have to actually have an input with the game, and like that,
yeah,
so much of that is based on like how it feels. Like you know how obviously, I think a lot of people could watch Rocket League and have zero understanding of how to go about playing it once they start playing it.
yeah, that's true. So like, yeah, I guess I can't really think of anything like any company that I would be very like happy to pre-order anything from, except for literally
I don't even know why
maybe
they do pre-orders like it's
the
something
Elder Scrolls
special.
6.
Like, is there any difference for you when you pre-order stuff? Like, cause
I
for
think you might get like a special poster sometimes.
oh, see, like that kind of stuff I never use. I pre-order it and like I get stuff. They're like, here, you got all these skins, and
For
literally,
skins, yeah.
I've literally never switched to them. Like I don't pre-order for the benefit that they provide. I literally just order it when it's most convenient, and normally that's when they put the sign in front of me that says you can order this now. So I'm like,
It's
okay,
like, huh. It's like, let me just check that off my to-do list because it's gonna happen anyway. It's like you're just doing something you were already gonna do no matter what, anyways. And it has
yep,
nothing to do with like faith in the game.
no.
It's just because you have to see it for yourself in
Yeah,
order
you
to
know, I
keep
should I
paying
should really stop playing
for
COD. It makes it sound really terrible when you put it that way. Like, there's no reason to play it at all anymore.
that. Like you have a good point though, because there's a lot of games where I've been like really excited, but like that's like immediately that's where like me and you differ, because like you probably there's not a lot of games that would make you really excited, but like there've been a lot of games
Yeah,
where I'm really excited, but then like I do take reviews into like heavy consideration,
yeah.
and then I'll see the reviews and like this game is garbage, never spend your money on this, and that'll legit make it so it's like okay, I don't think I'm gonna buy it anymore, like.
Yeah,
When like
yeah.
literally like that is true. Like it could have been like a really good game, but they just that person is the game just wasn't for them. But it might have been like really
Or,
good for me.
or it
Like
wasn't
I've
for yeah, it
seen
wasn't
games
for the
like that.
masses, and maybe it was for you, right? Like, there's a lot of games that I think that you currently play, like that I'm pretty sure the majority of people would not necessarily like, but you love them. So like
Yeah.
if you based
Yep.
it on that, you would never have found them, right? Like so like that's how I think about it. But also too, when you were talking about the expectations, like when you said like okay, when you expect it to be high and it is high, like that's the best thing for you. For me, my happiness is almost a direct sliding scale between my expectation and the what I get delivered. So like the more normal my expectation, if you deliver, like the higher you deliver, the more happy I am with you because I had zero expectation from you at all. And like it's everything that you produce is like completely either foreign to me and it's great because you're doing something that I didn't know you were going to do, or it's like I never would have thought that this could have provided this in any way anyway, like even if I had thought about it. So it's like in both ways it just feels like if I don't expect anything, I'm also happier in lots of senses when I do find something that is not just mundane.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like there's more room to like rise your
Yeah.
mood. But I start off already like
You're
at the
like,
top,
I'm gonna
and
be
then like
happy always.
yeah, you have nowhere to go but down from there. Like which is yeah, that's what happens. But I mean like
But you're always up though.
right. So, but I'm by default up. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just like a balance thing, I guess.
Nothing can
Like
stop him. He's all the way up.
yeah.
Yeah,
What
what
about
about
you,
you,
Buddha? Is
Buddha?
there anything you would ever pre-order or spend your money on, like just
Yeah,
based on the merits of the company alone?
yeah. And do you have expectations like that? I think you said not really, but I don't know.
Not on the company itself. There are certain like products I would like to John's point that I'm just gonna buy regardless. So I'd rather just like have that money just already there, so I don't have to think about it. It's like a bookmark, but but like a physical one.
Yeah, that's a good way to put
So
it.
Like if your landlord was like, "Hey, like you can prepay the next year of rent," and you actually like had the money to do that, like would you do it?
yeah, yeah. If I had that, you can already do that. Like no one,
Yeah,
you
Well,
can
man.
I
do that
mean, most
whenever you
people
want.
don't have the money for that, but
I
like,
I do that.
yeah, you that is possible.
I literally do that
But yeah, I would
anytime I
do
can.
that. I would do that for sure.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, if it gives me the ability to not think about that money in the future, I will definitely take that chance. Um, Otherwise, when it comes to like buying something, my expectations are only that it solves my problem, and my disappointment correlates to how much I spent to have that problem solved. So the more I spend, I expect the problem to be solved with more elegance or entertainment or something. But if I pay like
Entertainment.
yeah, if I paid like $1 for it, like at the end of the day, if I buy a $1 razor and then I buy like $100 electric like trimmer, I expect them both to like solve my problem. But I expect the trimmer to solve my problem in a more enjoyable way. But if it
Right.
didn't, like I would be more disappointed because I invested more in it. But if like my if
Yeah.
that $1 razor failed, I would be disappointed, but not nearly as much as that because I only spent the extra money because I wanted the experience to be better. So, but I'd expect both of them to work at the end of the day.
Yeah, I feel like that's basically like what I was saying. So like yeah, I guess you never really mentioned John like the monetary difference. I mean, you kind of did when you said, okay, well, if like you're a venture capitalist,
Yeah.
like you would just be like, okay, yeah, I like you. Here's all my money. Like, so
Yeah.
obviously you think that would be ridiculous. But
Yeah.
so like I would guess like on the scale of like money spent to disappointment
Mhm.
risk, like I would say like it's hard to even say like I am willing to lose more money, it seems like, than maybe both of you, but then my risk of disappointment would be much higher. But at the same time, when I lose like less money, my risk of disappointment, would it be high? I mean, honestly, it's still high. Yeah, like because I had like high expectations whether I spend $1 or whether I spend like $100. So like sometimes like
Yeah.
if there's small benefits to the $100 one, I feel like sometimes I will like go for that, even though like I'm not getting the best value. Like if they're identical in like performance, then yeah, I'll just get the cheaper one. But if there's just like even small like things, just like those early adopter benefits, I will pay the premium or in order to get the small benefits, even if it like isn't like as good of a value as the cheaper option. So like I feel like yeah, I'm like higher than Gouda as far as like risk I would take, and I feel like I'm probably higher than you too. But where would you say you are at on the risk to money spent to devastation received ratio? Like how
Yeah.
much money do you have to spend to get to be like a level 10 disappointed?
Um, I I don't know that it's necessarily a matter of how much money I spend anymore. Like maybe there was a time where that was true, but now I'm more expect like from what I have seen from businesses that even that have been like successful businesses, there can always be an opportunity for a product to be shit. Like, so I don't usually let my, again, it goes back to the like the very no expectations starter pack here. Like, I even if I get a product and it doesn't do well, like it depends on how big of, yeah, you're right. It depends on how big of a spend it is, but the more I spend, the not the more I'm disappointed I am, but the more I expect for the company to rectify the situation if uh, if like I have spent a lot of money. So like if I've only spent $10, like, and this is something that Danielle always like is first frustrated with me about. Like I can go to the store, spend 5 to 6 to 7 to probably up to $20. Mm, even now, like I would be could spend $50 and still do this if Danielle didn't like make me do it. Like I could spend $50 in the store, have something not be what I expected it to be, and not take it back. Like I just don't value the money or the time spent returning it enough to have to turn back around. So like sometimes there's been times where I've been like, oh, I spent $20 on this and this was complete shit, and they're like, they'll be like, well, just take it back and get something else, and I'm just like, no, I found a different way to handle it, so I'm just gonna leave it, whatever. Like I don't care. Maybe I'll give it away to somebody or something. Cause like,
I completely agree with that. Like,
okay,
but I wonder what level of disappointment do you have to be in order to get to the point where you take it back? Like, does that mean like people like Danielle are more disappointed with their product, or does that mean they're less
I
disappointed?
think she's more disappointed because she's also someone who will write reviews if the product isn't good, and
Okay.
I never do that. But that also goes to my distrust of the general public. So
So, okay. So yeah, so basically you're like both of you are on the lower scale
Yeah, I'm
of
probably like I would not
like
be super disappointed, but like do I expect to have better products at higher prices? Yeah, that's true for sure. But I try to at least let the company get like try to make it right. Like if I bought an Apple device and the thing was just bricked, I'm pretty sure I could go back to Apple and like have them take it back. So like I usually
yeah,
try to if I'm going to spend large amounts of money, that also determines how much I research the company too. Under $100, under $50, depending on what it is, I might just give any company a chance, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if I'm spending 1,000, like it's in part the larger the money it is to me, the more it's on me to figure out whether that company is good or not because it's my money I'm giving up. So like in a lot of ways I don't necessarily blame them if it turns out they're shit because like maybe I could have found that out. Maybe I should have done better due diligence if the $1,000 was really that important to
that's interesting. Yeah, I feel like if you have a bad company, you should just close.
me. You should just close.
Like that's what I feel like you have a moral obligation to just stop.
Yeah,
Like in my
that's
opinion.
yeah, that's not
Like
real.
so like when I come across someone that's like bad, I'd be like, why are you doing this? Like you're harming people. Like you need to
Wait,
stop
and
this right now.
so you live your life with not only with the moral code of that like thing of that being what's just in your mind, but you also expect other people to abide by that code?
Yeah, yeah. And I get
Wow, that's crazy.
very disappointed and annoyed if people aren't. Like if you have a bad company and you have no intentions of closing or improving, oh, I feel like you're a bad person. Like I yeah. Like we would not be friends. Like even if you tried to be friends with me, I'd be like, I know who you are.
You're a bad company guy.
Yeah, you're just over here taking these people's money, not even trying to like do any good. I mean, he's doing his job, sure, like the bare minimum, but I don't know. Yeah, you'll get no respect from me for that.
What if
Yeah,
it's
you
just
get
something that
negative respect.
Do you?
what if it's
Oh,
just
good.
something that you don't like specifically? Like, let's say it's a restaurant where they only serve cereal, but you have to eat it in like the first 15 seconds. Like you cannot let it sit there. And like a lot of people love it, but you like think it's like an abomination. Like, does that make a difference?
Yeah.
Like you think they're doing a bad thing, but they're still open because everyone else
Mm,
loves it.
no, I think if I saw that everyone else loves it, I would just be like, I don't know, there's something that's missing, but I don't
Do
know.
you?
But if I see that other people, and I feel like that's a part of it, like for me to lose respect, I would have to like not only have a bad experience myself, but ask like someone around me and be like, did you also go through the same thing? And if they
So
say yes, respect loss. Like,
so on that basis, then you think you should think that Tesla's a great company then.
because a lot of other people say that Tesla's a great company.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of other people also say that Tesla's a terrible company too.
Okay, but do
There's
you
a lot
think
of voices on both sides.
okay, but do you considering how much they've grown and like one their market capitalization should tell you a lot.
Yeah.
Like most people have bought into the fact that they're a pretty decent company. Like that's probably more than I think if you polled the U.S., I think the majority it would probably skew young, but the majority I think of the answers would be Tesla's the reputable and like good company.
I
So
feel like if
so
you're
are
if
you
you're
ready on the
making that
podcast right now to accept Tesla as your number one company?
I actually surprisingly I would if you're looking at it the metric with the product is making money or profit in some way,
Hmm.
like as an investor, I guess I would say, yeah, they are a successful company. Like if that really was their end goal from day one, there's like we're gonna start this company, but I don't give a fuck about electronic cars or any of that bullshit. I'm just here to make money, and this is how I think it's gonna happen. Then I would say like if that was like how that company started and whoever started, I would have to give it to him. If it was Elon Musk who started from day one like that, then yeah, he's successful. But if I'm looking at this from the side of a car purchaser and that's how I'm working with this company and putting my money into it, then I would say no, they're garbage. Like
But
I
every
wouldn't
but the people who buy them love them.
I mean not everyone, not that guy who
The
like
majority of them though. You know that.
Well, I think at this point, yes, but at the beginning, no, because he was making a lot of
Right.
promises that he never came through on. So I think
Mm,
at that point, a lot of people were like, "Oh, like my hopes were like crushed. This is
right. So
garbage."
you should
Like,
like them now because he made it.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if I think they're terrible and I'm asking everyone else and there's like I have one and I love it, then I'd be like,
So
sure,
you're
but
so you're prepared to ride in the Tesla with me with autopilot then. We're gonna do it together
yeah,
when it comes
yeah.
out.
Honestly, I would do it if you said that it was good and you do it all the time and like you felt like there was nothing wrong. Then yeah, I would just take your word
No,
for it
no,
and I'd be
man.
like,
I
I
just
guess it's
love
not for
my
me.
no, no, man. I just love my Tesla. That should be enough. Come with me.
That would mean something for me actually. That would.
No, I'm just giving you shit. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, generally speaking, I think that's probably a good way to think about. Like, it's a biological shortcut, honestly. Like, we generally look to like the people around us to say, okay, is this good or bad? Like, honestly, the way I think about a lot of things isn't probably the most reasonable in a like a social setting. Like, yeah, in most cases we should probably look to the people around us, and that's just what we do as humans anyway, to say like, all right, is this good? Like with food, I would probably trust most of you guys' opinion with foods I hadn't tried before. I would probably ask what you guys thought of it because I do value your opinions in that way. So, yeah, I would say I do that, but I only do that with people who I've been around long enough where I've been able to evaluate how they evaluate other things so that I can trust their opinion on other things. I can't trust strangers. That's the hard part for me. I can't like random reviews. That's the hard part. But like you guys, yeah, I would probably take your advice on products for a lot of things.
Yeah, a friend's word means a lot.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yep.
You know what could get you some good advice from a friend? Those early adopter benefits. You'd be like, hey man, I was one of your first customers and I see you're best friends with the mayor. How about you just put in a good word for me and like
Oh
that's
wow.
what like that's a pretty good benefit.
Yeah, I
The
wouldn't I
early
wouldn't do
adoption
that.
status.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
You're like, not fuck that.
No.
Like
At what
I
point?
need to see that
At
for
what point
myself.
does the benefit become corruption? Like, is it only because like
Mm.
you've crossed like
Hmm,
outside of your industry?
interesting. Yeah,
Straight
that's a
up
good point.
corrupt.
At what point is the benefit so good it's not fair anymore?
Yeah, because you know that the basis that you just laid out, that's exactly how America came to be. Like that's just what
Hmm.
politicians are. So like in that case too, they're all early adopters. You should really love everybody in government then, because like that's all they do is exchange favors. Like that's just normal.
I mean, if they're the ones who like let it like pave the way in that one, but like most people in government, they've just been doing the same thing they've been doing for years. Like that's just how it's been. But
No,
the
like
first guys
but
who did it, yeah, that impresses me.
no, but even the people in government now, they were young once, and someone who already had the like
I
paths
suppose,
had
yeah.
had to believe in them enough to put them in front of a stage so that they could get that type of credibility. Like no one gets in front of that stage with no one backing them. So those people have invested too, and all they want is a little kickback, man. That's all you were saying, right? Like it's okay. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that does carry some legitimacy in my book. Like even like Marjorie Taylor Greene, I gotta give it to her. Like she won the election and has like a strong base. Like even
Yeah.
though I completely like disagree with like every single part of her like political views, I guess as a politician, I can't argue that she's not successful.
Yeah,
Like
she did
she
something.
is. She's really doing something right. Yeah. But like yeah, I don't like yeah, I don't like admitting that. But like I guess I do think deep down that like if it came to it, there is something I could
But
learn from her in
uh,
like those ways.
But you're right though, like that's literally like what you like I'm just saying, I like you giving you shit about it, but like what you described is literally how the system works. Like that's so it's not like even though I'm saying like, "Oh, that's a little weird," like that's our reality.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's you two just so happen to not be early adopter
Right.
supporters.
Yeah.
But like there must be a good amount of us.
But that's part of why I don't like it because I would early adopt a company, but I don't like the idea of early adopting a person with the expectation that they should get you something back, because then that could place them in a position to do something that's not in their best interest or in other people's best interest to serve you. And like, I don't want my relationships to be based on that.
Yeah, I don't want my friendships to be based on that, but I have no problem having my business
Ah,
or
yes.
transactional
Money,
relationships
money,
based off
money,
that.
money.
Like no problem whatsoever. Like
Yeah,
we can keep this strictly professional. I am just fine with that.
a shrewd operator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, like
shrewd.
honestly, like being the leader of a company, I feel like one of the things I struggle with the most is having to actually have like real, like outside of like work, like relationships with people. Because like I find that like to be, I don't understand like what's the point of that. But like that's how you get, I mean, that's not how you get the early adopter benefits. I mean, kind of in a way, I guess, like, but like that's hard, man. That takes a long time and like it might not ever happen and they might not ever like you anyways. It's just like, do I really have to do this if they're just gonna quit anyways? But maybe like if I hung out with them and we were best friends, then like they would stay forever. I don't know, man. It's hard to say what the better way of leading is, because like
Isn't that just called networking? Isn't that a business-based
yeah,
friendship?
Hmm.
yep, networking. Yeah, it's just another way to get favors. Like
Hmm.
it's a way to put you ahead of this person who just submitted their application online because you at least know the person, so you'll be considered more highly for that. Yeah. But like in order to do that, you had to spend time and like actually like get to know them like in some sort of way for them to consider you. So it
Yeah,
takes an investment. It's just like, yeah, it's like maybe it'll pay off, maybe it won't. I don't know. It's a
yeah,
risk.
yeah. Just when I hear the networking described that way, that explains a lot about why I don't like it. I used to think it was just
Yeah.
that I was
Yes.
antisocial, but that's not it at all. It's that it's not real.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so you'll do a
Yeah.
favor for someone and then someone can
No.
pay you back in a favor, basically. That's exactly
It
what that's
was
for.
it was the worst when I used to be like forced to like, oh, you need to like do networking hours. Like as part of my job, I'm like, what do you mean I have to do networking hours? It's like, yeah, it's part of your professional development. It's like, wait, so you're telling me to go out there and sell my soul as part of my professional development? I don't want to be a professional then.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah. Some people are, it's just not forever. I
Yeah.
feel like I know people who like that job would be perfect for them. Like they're literally show up to work just for the relationships. It's
Yeah.
like, why are you still at that job? It's like, I think you're literally just here because you're friends with everyone here. Like, I think that's why. It's not even for the money anymore. Like, you're just here because like you made good friend like relationships here, and like I feel like those types of people, if you were like, hey, go make friends with them, I feel like they'd be like, yeah, sounds great. Like I would love to
Mhm.
do that rather than working. But like for like people like us, like we're just like, tell me what the job
Mhm.
is. I'm gonna get it done in 2 seconds, and don't ask me another thing until you ask me to do another
I'm
task for the job.
Yeah, so I completely agree with that actually. Like I have definitely like I don't want to say made friends, but like I'm okay talking to people at work around work-based things. And if that like because we if we agree on how to think about those things, then yeah, I can talk to you about other things here and there. But that should not be the majority of what we talk about. Like we're not just gonna hang out just to hang out and get to know each other. Like the basis for you and I meeting is you and I have a problem that we need to solve together. Let's get that done first, and then if you want to chit chat a little bit after that to catch up for pleasantries, that's fine. But yeah,
That's
I
interesting.
cannot imagine doing it just for the pleasantries in the hopes that like later on it'll lead to more business. Like that's just annoying.
So like for someone like that who like likes the networking and it's like, yeah, you're supposed to be networking and that's what we do and like there's like so gung ho about it. And like the type of people who've been at like the same company and it's just because like they're friends with everyone there, like not because the company's good to them per se. But like those types of people, they'll quit a company because they're not making relationships with someone. It's like, oh, okay, everyone left, so it's like now they feel like they have nothing, no reason to stay there. So like that's the reason why someone like that would quit. But for like someone like us, I'm guessing the reason we would quit, at least for me, it would just be because of like money, like basically, and stress. Like if it's too stressful and you're not paying me enough for that level of stress, then like I'm quitting. Like it has nothing to do with like whatever relationships I may or may not have. Like I'm fine with not having a single friend in the company if I just like go to work, like just get paid, and because all I want to do is get home anyways. But for some people, like that's not at all the case. Like they need to have like good relationships in the company, and if they don't, like they're just gonna be like, I'm just gonna quit, and they'll end up leaving. Like that
Yeah.
definitely is a thing.
I
So
need
I
to have
guess like
good.
yeah,
I need to
what
have
would
good
make
work
you guys
relationships. Good work. I have to have good work relationships with them. I don't need to have any other type of relationship with them at all. Like as long as what the thing that more frustrates me is if I don't have a good work relationship with you because like you're not competent at your job for some reason. Like that would make me leave. Like if I had to deal with enough incompetent people where like I didn't feel like I had a recourse to actually do my job effectively, then yeah, that would make me leave. Like the job has gone bad for some reason. But yeah, like I don't need to be friends with you. I just need to be like efficient at working with you. And
yeah,
honestly,
I feel the
that
same.
if you can do that, honestly, that has a better chance of leading to a friendship than you trying to be my friend off the bat and fucking the work stuff. Like, because
Yeah.
then like you can't convince me you care about me as a person if you're fucking the money for me.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're not here for the money then, which they're not. They're there for like the vibes.
Yeah, but the rest of the people have to eat, so like, like
Like
it's kind of
I
weird to be.
like when I go to work, like I'm doing that because I have to, not
Yeah,
because. And I don't know, like it's
and
that's tough,
I
man.
don't have to like that. I did tell like my boss that when I interviewed, but at the same time, I want to do that because I like the task. So the other part too is like, what if someone actually likes their job and you're fucking it because you can't even let them do the thing they like to do because you're trying to network.
Yeah, like you keep trying to talk to them, but all they're trying to do is what they love, and that's like be by
Yeah,
themselves or to do their job. Yeah,
yeah.
that's like if you like working alone, then like yeah, networking is literally an inconvenience.
Yeah,
It's like, can you please
it's true.
stop talking to me so I can continue with my job now?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
What a
I don't
world.
know. Maybe like the best solution is to try and find and make your company an entire company of like introverts or an entire company of extroverts and networkers. Because then like everyone will be happy. The company of all introverts. Honestly, that company sounds like it's gonna be like kick ass as hell. Like they'll get shit done 24/7 because they're not like fucking around talking to each other. But the
Right.
company of extroverts, I just like what do you they're not gonna get like a ton done.
No, that's why they section them off to sales.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like some
Uh,
parts of recruiting that are like and I feel like every marketing department has one. Like they're the person that they send to do presentations a lot of times.
Interesting.
At least that's
Yeah,
been
or
my
like
experience.
events.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, events, fundraising, that type of thing.
Yep.
But as a business owner, I will say that extroverts are cheaper to employ because they are willing to be underpaid and still
Because they
stay in the
don't work.
company. Right,
They
exactly. They don't work. They're
don't
only there for the
work.
friendship
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
So it's
Uh,
cheaper to employ extroverts than it is an introvert because an introvert will just leave. It's like, okay, you're not paying me enough for this bullshit. I'm
yeah.
gone. Like I don't care who you think I'm friends with. Like this is not worth it. I'm
I
gone.
should say extroverts who are there to network. Yeah, those people for
Right.
sure. They don't work.
Networkers and non-networkers because technically I'm an extrovert, but I am
Yeah,
not a networker.
yeah,
I don't like
yeah. I've seen
networking. Like
hard-working extroverts, but I've never seen a networking extrovert be good at anything other than talking.
right, exactly, yeah. Usually like that's their main skill and like
And
that's
if all you're
it.
good is talking, you're really not even good at talking because you're not saying anything.
Right. Like what do you have that's of value?
Yeah,
But if you're a
yeah,
networker, then that's their value is because they like to have a good time and network. And you're like,
but
"Man, that really lifts me up." And now that person's providing this.
how
Like
can you say
literally,
anything worthwhile if it's not connected to anything in reality?
dude, I completely agree. I literally have family members who their entire career was like they know nothing.
Like
I
Tony
could at least
Robbins.
I assume. Well, actually, no, that's not true. So, like, my uncle, he literally went to college to be an engineer, and then he showed up like fresh out of college and like applied for the job to be an engineer, but the boss was like, you know what, just talking to you for 10 seconds, I know you're a networker. He didn't say those words, but he's like, you're not an engineer. He's like, I'm gonna put you in sales. So he never worked as an engineer for a day of his life and worked for the entire rest of his career as a salesperson. And like that is him. Like he's a networker. Like if I were to ask him to engineer something, I'm assuming he couldn't do it. Like that is not his forte of skills. His forte of skills is lighting up a room and having a good ass time and making people around him have a good ass time. And
Right.
like yeah, that is and like that's his entire job. So he would go to the other side of the world and so he's not an engineer. Like I guess he did technically get a degree, but if you were to ask the other engineers at that company if he knew what he was doing, I guarantee you they'd be like, no, he doesn't actually know how to engineer any of this. Like he doesn't know any. Like we provide all the information for him. All his entire job is to just wine and dine the customer, make sure the client, make sure they're having a good time. Because like the clients he's working with are so big that they hired a networker to go even talk to him. So they just hired their two extroverts to go like extrovert with each other. And if they both come back from the meeting and say, yeah, he was a good extrovert, then the deal is on.
The
Like
deal.
they don't talk about any like of the actual things. Like they might have a list that they were sent to by their boss or by the board of like demands that they have to like abide by. But if the demands are like if I give him like my extrovert like okay, make sure you don't agree to any deals below $1,000. We need to make at least $1,000. Like he will go there and say, okay, we need to make this work for $1,000. And then they'll be like, okay, deal, that's right within it. But then I'll be like, dude, like you should have started
You
with an offer below that. Like you could have made us some money. But like that's not on the extrovert's mind. Like they just want an extrovert. So like,
you just
yeah, I guess that
described
makes sense.
you just described every character in the show Succession.
Yeah, yep, literally. Like, like
That's
yes,
that's
that is
that's the
so
whole. It's
true.
literally the whole show. They're just going from one place to another, talking about deals. That's it.
Yeah, and they're usually hired by someone
Like it.
or not the person actually doing the day-to-day work and knowing like what's
No, no,
going on.
they occasionally look at paperwork and type things on computers, like, but most of the time they're standing up and or sitting like haphazardly on the side of a chair or at a party or an event talking
Yep.
about what's going to happen. Like that's the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Like who's doing the real work and running the company? Because I that's not it. Like
They
there's no
they
way.
no, that is it, because whoever has the say is the one who runs it.
So like that really doesn't make sense like as an efficiency standpoint. Because like company A has an extrovert who goes out and does the sales, and then company B is like, man, I don't want to like source all these like clients and stuff. Like I'm just gonna hire someone who likes talking to people who will deal with all these salespeople and find me the best person. But like that person that you hired is a networker. They don't know what they're doing, but like you're never. Well, is that true?
I think when you're bigger, it's not necessarily about efficiency. Like it's about market share. So like the relationships matter after you get past a certain point. Like it's important when you're small too to like have good working relationships, sure. But like if you're going to stay on top and still grow, like it's more important in a lot of cases. I would imagine that you pay up front and that like you might not always get the best deal if it means keeping people that like can help your business happy, because they're, to your point about like the benefits, like obviously that's not a starter benefit, but it's like a relationship benefit. It's like
Right.
a plus two extrovert, we understand each other and we won't cross each other type of relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like I guess like yeah, I guess that makes so like if I'm like a company, I have a product and I'm the one who has the money. Like it makes sense like when you're the one who's asking for the money, you send the extrovert because the extrovert is going to be most likely to vibe with whoever you're talking to. But if I'm the company who has the money, wouldn't it not make sense really to send the extrovert because like the extrovert doesn't actually know what he's looking for or what I'm looking for, like really? So like he's just gonna agree to pick whoever he got along with the best. So like wouldn't it be smarter for me to send like my engineers and be like, let's see like ask him if he really knows what he's doing. Does that
No,
happen?
I don't think it's about knowing what you're doing as much because I think if you're going to even meet about teaming up, there's an assumption that you have a certain amount of know-how already. Like to your point about becoming a successful company, if if a certain amount of people are continuing to buy your product, then you have to assume that there's some type of relevance to the marketplace, even if you don't agree with it, right? Like to your point about Tesla. So basically those people have to know what they're doing to an extent that it succeeds with a customer, and that's usually all I think that a lot of those companies care about. Yeah, there's probably a due diligence after you close deals or as you close deals that allows you to back out if anything's wrong, but
That's true.
it's
Yeah.
almost assumed, right? You go on good faith in the way, I guess that's the way they say it, of
And
like
then the introverts do their work
right,
behind the
exactly.
curtain.
Yeah, but they are not the starter pack. They're the sweepers. They come
So
in behind.
that's how you do. Okay, that makes actually a lot of sense because like the introverts still are working,
Yeah, they're
but
there.
they do all the background work. So
Yeah,
like his people talks to their people. Neither of them are doing any of the paperwork behind the
right.
scenes. They're strictly there to party with each other and to like establish a relationship with
But
each
that
other.
also
Yeah, that makes
that
sense.
also has a benefit too of not having to give up your entire organization's like plans and shit like that without sealing to paper a deal that locks you in with that company. Like imagine if you had to open the books every single time when you do business with someone. Like everyone just knows your entire fucking books and they can still walk away from a deal with no recourse. Like that would be
That's
terrible.
true.
So,
Like the networker, he might not know everything, but he can probably at least get a hint if there's something off that
yeah.
he could at least block that out. So yeah, I guess that's
Right.
true. So deals aren't really made like in the movies, like when they shake their hands, like deal. That's not
Yeah.
really when the deal's made. Like
No.
there's paperwork afterwards, and that's so true. Like even in Shark Tank, when they
Yep.
say it's a deal, that's not actually true. Like
Yeah. Mark
their
Cuban
lawyers have
alluded
to
to
go through
that.
their stuff,
Yeah. Mark Cuban has said
and
that
if
on
it's
multiple occasions that they have like a whole due diligence process that they have. Like obviously in the earlier days they didn't have Shark Tank teams, but like each of them now has their own team of people who just deal with Shark Tank deals. So basically they just like have that team of people go through all of the records, all of the books, and like a lot of deals like that fall apart at that stage. Obviously you don't hear about them; they just go
right,
into the abyss. But a lot of times, if I don't believe, and that's another thing I do with Shark Tank a lot. If I don't believe in the company, one of the first things I do when I'm watching an old Shark Tank episode is look up what happened to them. And a lot of times they're not in business anymore.
yeah, it's like nope, they didn't end up being good.
But sometimes
Yeah,
I've
I
been
guess that makes
surprised, and they
sense.
have been. So you never know.
So the real key to success is don't put your networkers in with the introverts with the non-networkers because the non-networkers are just going to get annoyed. So like keep them separate, and then even when you have relationships with other companies, make sure that your networkers are doing all the external relationships and the non-networkers are doing all the real work and heavy
Yep.
lifting.
This has been your lesson in business.
Huh. That, I mean, it sounds obvious, but like I guess yeah, it just makes sense. Like, but like there's so many there's so many companies where like it's not working like that. Like literally like The Office, the show, like that's really the definition of
Hmm.
networkers working in non-networking positions, but still they're doing it, and it's just like
Well, they
they're
do. They like the salespeople are anyway. Like
yeah
they're salespeople anyway. But like I think Michael's the only one that's the crazy part about The Office. Like the main character is the only one working in a job that he actually likes. Everyone else is him and Dwight, like him and his number two.
yeah
Everyone else there is miserable, like the entire time. But like as time goes on, they eventually come grow to like it. It's so weird. Like I guess
they network.
yeah, they got forced to network.
And then when they start leaving, it's like a big deal, like
Yeah,
because they've networked too hard. But if you're a true introvert, you never reach that point.
you're
You're
just
like,
unfazed.
like John's worked here for 5 years, and I've never said a word to him this whole time. It's like, yeah, like there's people like that for sure.
See, like I
Like,
am an
yeah,
introvert, but you can make me an extrovert by showing me that you can at least like work and think through things critically. That immediately I'm willing to talk to you now because I can now know certain things about how you do the rest of your life because in order to get this part right, you have to have a certain way of thinking. And I know that that has to necessarily carry over to some other aspect of your life. Like that's one of the reasons I get along with my boss is because I know that she thinks about things in her actual life in a way that there's no way someone who's just purely incompetent could be. There's just no way. And then the other people that I don't like, it's the same thing. Like I'm like, yeah, you probably do some crazy shit in your real life, huh? Like that's not anything I want to be a part of. So I try to limit those interactions. And I
Yeah,
think
I'm not
everyone
gonna
probably
lie,
does
like
that.
that makes me think of like when I first met you and like how we weren't even like friends, even though like you're one of my best friends now that I know you. But like when I first met you, I just feel like whenever I would look at you, you were just like like I guess like you had like a slight vibe that you had no interest in being approached. But like that wasn't necessarily true. But like that's like what I thought of when I looked at your face. But like when Gouda, like you guys are both like introverts, but with Gouda, I feel like he'll kind of like put on more of like a not like a show, but he'll go out of his way like for like first time social interactions. Maybe not out of his way, but he'll like put on more of an effort to like make sure that he has like a smile on his face and he's making the other person feel comfortable more than you, I would say. And I think I am even more so than Gouda. Because I remember the first time I met Gouda, like he was quiet, but like he was still like he smiled like at me. But like the first time I met you, like I guess it was different, like because I was like a bad kid in class and you were probably already frustrated.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah, you
you
were the extrovert. You were fucking it for me.
yeah, you were like yeah, you had no like desire to like
I'm in class.
like get involved with like
I'm only here to do one thing, and that's the thing you're fucking.
yeah.
You're the person at work that I'm describing.
And I was the guy who was like, "What's up, dude? What are we doing today? We're hanging out, haha!" Like, yeah, yeah, yep. And you were just like, "This is literally distracting me from my goal."
Like I literally came and do this.
Yeah, would you say? Yeah, I guess like that's funny.
You're
Like
like,
literally, like at my wedding, I had people come up to me and be like, "You know what, Gouda? Like your best man, like he was like." He must really like razzle dazzle the workplace. Like he must be like quite the character. And like really it's just like no, like not really. He's got you fooled. Like which is like I don't even think he means to, but like if you really get to know him, he is not like that at all. Like this is just for tonight. And like I granted I asked you to like bring your like 100 for my wedding and you totally did. Like you brought the party. It was perfect. Like but like, yeah, you really had people fooled. But no one came up to me and was like, you know what, John, he is one eccentric character. Like, no, no one said that. But like people were saying that about Gouda. Like so
Yeah,
that
yeah, I wasn't interested in entertaining your guests. It was a lot for me to just be happy and smiling around that many people. Like that's
right.
a big
yeah.
ask. Like that was my version of bringing my best. And I talked to your mom, so yeah, like that was all that I could provide.
And everyone was wasted, so I feel
Yeah,
like that helps.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like the first couple times like someone has a conversation with you, you'll open up with a big sigh. But like I've never heard like Gouda do that. And like I don't do that either. You're like, well, this is usually how it goes. Like you can tell, like he's like you have to build yourself up for that
Yeah,
moment.
yeah,
like, but like
yeah.
Gouda, he'll just jump right into action. I feel like I do too. Like even it's just not quite as like I guess like I don't know.
there's
Like
no
it doesn't
use
come off as
there's no use in
exhausting,
lying to you. Like if I'm exhausted, I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. Like what do
and
you
that's what it
what do you
comes
want
off
me to
as.
do? Yeah,
Yeah,
like
which
sorry.
is fine.
Yeah.
Like people can have the right to be exhausted,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, I feel like I did sense that like when I first like knew you, like I like so like when you became friends with Gouda, I was actually really shocked, and like one of my first thoughts, like when I realized you guys were like close, was like, how did you become friends? Like, because it seemed like you didn't want to be approached. So like, yeah, how did that happen? Or
Um,
We
is
don't.
that a story we can explain? I guess not. No.
I can't. I'm pretty sure that story had to have been told on this podcast before.
Okay, so like
yeah, probably years ago.
Yeah.
it's like PG enough rated, right?
It's really not. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
not. It's
it's
not.
a story I used to
It's
tell all the time, and John would be upset when people would ask because he's like, "Oh, god damn it, not
yeah,
gonna hear this shit
yeah.
again."
Wait, this,
Basically, the
Because it
story is
wasn't
just that
real.
it's exactly how you sound, how it sounds. Like it wasn't easy. Like I just approached more than once and got him to trust me.
So you were the initiator of the friendship. You
Oh
approached
yeah.
more than once. Interesting.
All of my
Because I feel
non
like for me and your relationship, I think I was the initiator, like for me and you, Gouda. But for me and you,
Yeah.
John, like it was just like I was just introduced to you through
yeah,
Gouda.
yeah.
But we became like close, like I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know. When did that happen? Like when did we first hang out by ourselves? Like
Uh,
I don't even know, honestly. Like it just happened at some
yeah,
point.
I think it was the summer where everyone was like back in Milwaukee and like everyone was going out a lot back then. I
I
feel
have a
like
feeling I would have initiated that. I would be like, hey, you're trying to like play some
yeah, probably. And
like I really can't
and two,
imagine you.
I feel like it's a good barometer. Like I honestly don't have the mental fortitude to go through that many people to see if there's anyone decent enough where I'd want to spend time with. So like it acts as its own filter. Like if you want to even like have to get to know me, you're gonna have to put in some time because one, just realistic friendships, like actual friendships, are hard, and that's the only friendship I'm actually interested in anyway. I don't need acquaintances. Like I don't have the time to like text you once a month and like checking out how you're. I don't care about any of that because you don't care about any of that about me. Like let's just be real, right? So like I'd rather have a few very good friends that I know what's going on with them than have like 100 acquaintances where I'm like, yeah, I talk to them sort of. Like I don't really know those people. So yeah, people don't usually want to make that kind of effort, and then I don't have to worry about it.
That makes sense. So that's interesting. So you put in the effort to be friends, and you
all
did
of
it. It worked.
yeah, all of my relationships that are not family related are pretty much almost all of them are initiated by the other person.
You're just sitting there like coasting through life, and people are just approaching you with like things, and you're just like, all right. You're like, I expected nothing, not good or bad, so anything that comes of this can only benefit me. Otherwise, I will just not continue to do it. Which is it's a
Yeah,
fine approach, honestly. Like I would say you're a successful person in many different ways, so it works. It
yeah.
does.
Now, if I do build up a relationship with you, yeah, then I'd have obviously have certain expectations. But yeah, in the beginning, like it's just that's tiring. I don't want to even bother with it. Like why do I do?
So,
Why
so
bother?
like what would happen? Like, do you think you would be okay with like not having any friends or family? Like, let's say that you're just like somehow like that just happens in life. Like, do you would you want any friends?
You're saying friends and family or just friends?
Both. Like, let's say you had no family anymore for some reason, and or friends. So like, there's literally no one
No,
like
that
that
would
you are close to
no,
anymore.
that would bother me. I think everyone, no matter how introverted, is healthier with human interaction. So like as much as people don't like people's how people think doesn't necessarily vibe with mine, I think proximity to like other people and at least like seeing people talk and having like that conversation is important, even if it doesn't even if you're someone who's on the outs. So like I would not consider myself someone who gets along with most people and like appreciates how most people think. But if no one existed tomorrow, I'd probably be depressed and eventually die pretty quickly.
I mean, didn't you start a Twitch channel once? I feel like that's
Uh-huh.
pretty like outgoing of you.
Yeah, which is another reason why I think it's interesting that I even bothered to do that because that tells me that time in my life I was definitely just looking for something complete opposite of what I was doing before. Because if you think about like how I am as a person, there is no part of me that has the only part of me that's okay with that part like is the fact that I can control the channel that people are coming through. Like, but having to like continue to keep up with people that can know like more about me than I know about them because obviously on Twitch you have to talk about yourself in a lot of different aspects. Like, yeah, that became very tiring very quickly.
Interesting. Yeah, and
And
then
that's
like you
why I
found
stopped
like
doing it.
your friends, and then like you stopped doing it. Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
So like really you got like what you needed out of it, and like you
Yeah.
just you stopped the part that you didn't need to continue. Like, all right, I
Yeah.
don't need this.
Yeah, I'll try a lot of things with again, not much expectation. But the moment I realize I'm not in it anymore, then yeah, why would I continue to bother with the parts that don't serve me in any way? Or especially if
Yeah.
they like are serving me in a negative way, like if they're taking away from me in some way. I don't want to keep that around.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like you're on like if we're comparing the three of us, like you're on like yeah, the more introverted end of things, and I feel like I'm on the more extroverted end, and Gouda's in the
Yeah.
probably closer to you, but more in the middle.
Yep.
Like I'm guessing Gouda probably might maintain more close relationships than you do. And like but like the thing is I also think he you have more close relationships. You probably I don't know if you have more close relationships than I do, John, because you keep your circle like real tight. Like I think I literally know like I at least I assume I know like most of the people that you talk to on a regular basis. Like that's what I feel like at least. Like at least know them by
Mm,
name.
yes.
But like I feel like for you it would be like more rare for to hear about a new person that I've never heard of in your life before. And then for me it would be
Right.
probably like more common for you guys to hear about like some new person that I met
Yeah, I think that's
because
true.
I'm just like for some reason more willing. But like at the same time, I don't have a lot of close relationships. Like it's just like you guys and my parents and then my wife and kid, which is like enough. Like that's plenty, man. Like in my opinion, like that's fucking plenty. Actually, okay, I guess like I should really think about like what my life would be like if I had no job. If I didn't have a job, it wouldn't be enough. I would want more friends if I just was sitting around doing nothing all day. I think it's enough for me right now, but if I was retired, I could take on like probably like five more people, like close like friendship people. And I'm assuming you guys probably wouldn't go that high of a number.
That's too many people.
No. Yeah, no. Unless they're like living with me, like physically, then I kind of have no choice. But yeah, I think like the higher you go up, like the more diluted those relationships just have to get.
Hmm.
Just
Which is true, yeah. You can only spend so much time.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, five's a wild number. Also, I don't think I'd ever retire to the point of not having anything to do, so that there would never be enough time for that.
You'd be like, I don't need friends. I'm busy doing shit.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you need some friends, you said.
Yeah,
Just
yes, a
keep it
few.
tight.
Right, you keep it tight.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, if you were a networker, you'd be like, no, I don't need to do shit. I'm just gonna retire and make sure I have all the friends.
But see, like networkers don't admit what you just did. The fact that like all the rest of those relationships have to be diluted. So like in my mind, if you have a few in either scenario, you have a few close friends that are true relationships, and everyone else, the wider out the circle gets, the more diluted it is. Why bother with the wider circles? Like that's the part of it that like that part seems tiring to me. Whereas like people who are extroverted seem to thrive on having just fucking onion layers of like circles that like they're just like yeah I know this random fact about Johnny who I met 2 weeks ago and I'm like bro what like for what reason what I don't understand like why do you even know that why do you need to remember that and tell other people that
Yeah, that is interesting.
like
Yeah,
if
like
you're close to them and like you're gonna continue to do stuff with them over and over again okay but like if it's just something like I feel like true extroverts could know that about the person they saw at the bus stop.
yeah, yep. Like I feel like you get more relationship or better relationship benefits with people who you are just close to and spend more time with, but just like one on one or whatever you're close with, rather than having 100 people that you're just like good with.
Yeah.
Like that could be good to a certain point. Like eventually, if you have like a million people that like you're just good with, like if you're at that point you're basically an influencer. Like so, like there's some pretty good benefits to that, I guess. But
I feel
if
like
you're
the
yeah, if you're
detriments
just
are
small
worse.
time in it, like 1,000 friends, 1,000's like a lot of fucking friends. A
uh,
hundred or hundreds of friends, like yeah, like I guess like what that does give you the benefit is I'm sure you always have something to do. Like always have some fun ass plans that you could go to if you have friends everywhere. You're like, oh, you want to go to a party? Like I could find one tonight. And like that's a benefit. Like I could not find any party tonight. Like no fucking way. Like but like someone with all the friends they could.
yeah
And
I
I
don't know if
guess
that's a benefit.
Yeah, it's like the networker benefits. Like that's not
Yeah,
a how's that gonna
yeah,
help me?
yeah. And then the stronger it goes or crosses over into influencer, the even worse I would say the detriments are that outweigh the benefits like severely in my mind. But that's also
Yeah.
why I would never want I like again now that like have seen what that looks like or could like imagine what that looks like. I don't even think I even considered that. Like success for Twitch would have meant that I had to have been necessarily popular, and I didn't even consider that like truly consider that when I first started doing it. And like thinking about that now, I can't even fathom that.
Oh my
Like
god.
God,
I feel like you would have been so annoyed with those like random like if you would have got huge and there was just people like going crazy in your chat all the time, like constantly vying for your attention. I can't
I
imagine
would
that
die. I
you
would
and
die.
yeah, like for me personally, I've thought about that. If I was ever at that point, the only way I can ever run a stream like that is if I wasn't interacting with the chat. Like I was just doing what I was doing,
Hmm.
and I either like had someone else who interacted with the chat for me, or it was like a pre-recorded like stream, and then like I just go back later, and as it's playing, I can interact with the chat. But like literally, like when I'm doing like the streaming or like doing something like yeah, I'm not trying to like talk to any old rando who comes in or pops in and donates $1 or whatever. Like I'm just trying to play this game and like maybe like make a couple of friends like
Yeah,
at the end of the day. Or like if I'm gonna be a huge influencer, I just want to play the game and like get some good sponsors and make some like money while I'm doing it,
yeah.
really, and get paid to do it.
That's
Like
another
I'm
reason
not here
I
to talk to all these randos.
Yeah, that's another reason I never did YouTube ever again. Like there was a time where and again, I started YouTube like from a finance perspective, and like that is actually interesting to me. I didn't start necessarily just to be popular, but that's another reason I never came back to that after doing Twitch was because I was like, oh well, maybe I could just do something that interests me more. I could just do finance and just go back to doing YouTube. But like again, then I had to actually consider what would that mean if I was successful. And then immediately I'm just like, nope, that's that's not something that I would ever want to happen. Like the
Oh
moment you
man.
get over a certain subscriber count, it, your life has to be wide open because certain people are just going to know who you are.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, that is true. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, I wonder where my brother would like land on this scale because I think he's got like 120,000 subscribers, maybe
Yeah,
more
that's
at this
that's a
point
lot.
on TikTok. But he's like, I feel like he's kind of like Gouda, honestly. Like he, if you get to know him, he's like quiet, like spends his time alone. Uh, not you're not gonna find him at a party, probably. But like at the same time, if you meet him and like you meet a stranger, he'll like he does have the ability to like have people fooled and like have people thinking he's like a crazy like personality and whatnot. But at the yeah, but like yeah, and he has 120 followers. So like I wonder if he's like if he goes like if that's a hassle for him. Like does he feel like he has to like please all these people or like interact with all of them or like
Mhm.
how does he deal with that? I'll have to ask him sometime. I'll report back.
I have to
Let you
go.
know what he says.
I have to go into the office next week on Monday and Tuesday, and I'm staying there overnight, and we're going to dinner Monday night, and
Oh
that
man.
that alone gives me anxiety.
Yeah, I wouldn't
That's
like
gonna be
that.
with like 6 people.
I'd be like, what does this have to do with me being a data analyst? Like, am I
Right.
gonna be looking at some data on the dinner table that like you can't email me or something? Like,
Nah, man, this is
uh,
networking 101. This is a this
yeah,
is a meet and
of
greet on the first day, and then the second
course,
day,
networking.
that's when the real stuff happens.
Yeah,
No,
period.
they didn't make me go, but I did go to so I could like feel like I was viewed as a good sport. So like essentially,
In a
the
way,
pressure was there
they made
either
you go.
anyway. Yeah,
Yeah, they did make you go.
yeah,
They
yeah.
made you
In a
go.
sense.
Yeah. In a sense,
No,
yeah, you
I
feel like you had to. So like,
well, I didn't feel like
in
I
order
had
to be
to.
viewed
I
as
I also like somewhat selfishly wanted to be able to like see some of these other people that I only interact with a little bit because I do feel like selfishly that'll give me some type of upper hand in dealing with them regularly later on. So like, but again, that's a pure work benefit. That has nothing to do with getting to know them and like being friends with them. But again, most people are on the networker side in corporate. So like you have to play that network game to even get your benefit. Just like the people who make deals, the all the peons who actually want to do the work, they have to allow the network stuff to happen first before they can get what they want done. So like that's what I feel like has to happen. If I don't have good relationships, I can't get the information.
Yeah.
No, I think that's just part of the game if you work in an office.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you
Or for
if
yeah,
you
corporate
go
at all.
to if you go to a building every single day, it's just like school. Like that's just gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
if you said no to that dinner, you might as well hand in your 2 week notice. It's the same thing.
I,
Yeah, honestly, like it really is.
yeah, yeah.
Like they won't view you as a valued member. Like they'll probably like then like they're not gonna like prioritize your work because you're not like one of them.
Well, I mean, that's
And then like it's
okay.
gonna get
Like
worse
that
and
just
then
means that
yeah.
they're wasting money. And like while that does annoy me, I mean, that's still not my money they're wasting. I mean, I'm being paid to do nothing then because you're just dragging your feet.
Yeah, and then they'd be like eventually they'll review and be like, what's this guy doing? He's not doing shit. And it's like
I
really because like they don't include you
I don't
because you're
I
not
don't
really one of
believe that
them.
would happen here.
I mean, it probably wouldn't, but like that
But
seems
yeah,
like a pretty like
in
easy way
most
for that to happen.
yeah, in most like corporate positions, yeah, I think that would for sure happen. But like I luckily am in a unique position where that I don't think that would happen.
Yeah. Oh man, corporate.
Yeah, corporate.
Yeah, I'm trying to make my own corporate, but I want I want the non-networkers and the networkers to be happy.
Nope. Impossible.
We'll see what happens. All right, I think that definitely wraps up. This has got to be like at least a 2-hour episode, right?
It is 2 hours and 1 minute now. It's about to be.
Nice. So a nice long one for you guys. We covered just about everything except for only like two topics, but still, it was
Mhm.
a good time. So we will be back next week, I think. But if not, that just means life got up to us and we'll be back the week after. So like no matter what, we'll be back.
I'm not coming. No, I'm just kidding.
So stay tuned. But yeah, John's like no, just kidding. No, we'll be back, guys. Hit us up next time and we'll see you later.